Hello and welcome to another edition of Phakathi TV. I'm John T. Mark, your host, and I'm here on my own today, which is kind of appropriate because yesterday I was on my own in a completely empty stadium. FNB Stadium, where Ghana took on South Africa in an Africa Cup of Nations qualifier. The game wasn't the best, and the result, well, it was a point. It was the first time Bafana have managed to get a draw with Ghana in 5 attempts. However, it just leaves a similar situation for Bafana, which means that on Sunday they have to get at least a point against Sudan in Omdurman to qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations early next year. As I mentioned, there were only really a few reporters and the two teams and technical staff and some fairly loud, I think, gentlemen from the Ghanaian High Commission inside the stadium. Because obviously, because of COVID-19, all matches at the moment in South Africa are being played behind closed doors. It created, I must say, an eerie atmosphere, a bit like a training session in the form of a match. A bit different from watching it on TV, where at least they use sound engineers to give you some atmosphere. Perhaps that was what it lacked, a bit of atmosphere. And maybe that affected Bafana because they weren't at their best. It was a bit of a slow game. Bafana did have the best chances in the first half. Tapela Morena in particular, the Sundowns wing back, should really have taken at least one of two chances that he had. And then in the second half, really, Ghana came out and hit South Africa with a sucker punch. The Ajax Amsterdam youngster Mohamed Kudus really ghosting past Sianda Kulu far too easily and slotting home, but luckily our talisman, who was Percy Tau, 3 minutes later popped up with the equaliser. There weren't too many chances to win the game for either side after that. One shot from Innocent Maela, the Orlando Pirates fullback, who's not really known for his shooting, but he did charge forward and hit one that was well saved by the Ghanaian keeper. But it wasn't much exactly of a torrent of Bafana attacks after that. So up next for Bafana is Sudan, in Sudan on Sunday, and there were some interesting calculations going around before the Ghana game that if Bafana had beaten Ghana, you could potentially have seen a situation where all teams could have ended up, 3 teams could have ended up on 12 points, and that would have needed some calculators, which you've seen in the past with Bafana, nowhere more embarrassingly so than the dancing that happened in Mbombela in 2011, I believe it was, when Bafana thought they'd qualified before the 2012 Africa Cup of Nations, but actually hadn't. I don't know if you remember that, but I was there, and it was one of the more, I don't know if you could call it funny, but certainly embarrassing moments in South African football history. But there won't be any of that in Sudan. It's simple. If Bafana win or draw against Sudan in their final Group C match, they are going to the Africa Cup of Nations. If they lose, they are out. So at least we don't have to get our calculators out to figure that one out. Sudan on paper, Bafana would be favourites to beat Sudan, but it's always tricky playing away from home on the continent. There's never a guarantee of anything. Sudan have been the latecomers in terms of winning games in this group. They have come through recently, beating Ghana at home. That was the real shock that set up them with a chance of qualifying. They then followed that up by winning in Sao Tome to get themselves to 9 points and give themselves a chance of qualifying if they beat Bafana. So they're obviously no mugs. South Africa only managed a very narrow 1-0 win against Sudan at home. That was Lebo Piri scoring the only goal of the game. So he's not there. Bafana are missing quite a number of overseas based players. We've heard that Bongani Zungu won't now be travelling to Sudan. There was talk Rangers might release him, but now that's not happening. So it will be a weakened Bafana team, and whether they have enough to get what they need, well, only time will tell. It does echo the last AFCON qualification, however, when Bafana did go to Tunisia to play Libya on neutral territory. Libya was not, because it was in the middle of a civil war, I think there was no football able to be played there, so Bafana went to Tunisia and they won 2-1 with Percy Tau, of course, scoring 2 wonderful goals. Perhaps that can happen again. Let's hope so. Let's hope Bafana can qualify. I do think with a 24-team Africa Cup of Nations now, there's really no excuse for not qualifying. For however much sympathy you can have with the tightness of this group, Bafana have to get there. And I think it is good for an AFCON to have a Bafana there, because they do have a brand and they are, on their day they can play nice football. That's it from me for now. I do hope you enjoyed this brief commentary on Bafana Bafana. Let's hope we can do it on Sunday, qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations. Do follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. And for now, we'll see you next time.